Next, we have another great McKinsey presentation on the role of social in business from McKinsey's senior partner, Hugo Sarrazin. Hugo, welcome to the stage.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be back. I'm going to spend 10 minutes talking about a fascinating topic, how the enterprise is becoming more social. We hear a whole lot about the consumer side, the Facebook, the Twitter, and there's an equally transformative revolution that's happening on the enterprise side. And to get the right context, I'm going to step back in time because we need to get grounded on a few management principles that are used and will continue to be used moving forward. But as we think about using technology and social technology, we need to adapt. So not to belabor the point, we had the Industrial Revolution. We went after production workers. We found ways to substitute labor for capital. And we went after economies of scales, specialized work, and then we found a whole slew of management practices to take advantage of that. A lot of the hierarchies, a lot of the concept of accountabilities, responsibilities, the way to keep score, the way we do financial management, accounting, a lot of it came out over time from the Industrial Revolution. It was all about substituting labor for capital. Then technology came along, and we found a way to use technology to replace labor. We went after stuff that could get automated, that was repeatable, that was predictable, and we deployed a lot of good technology to do this. It was fantastic. It was a new revolution, and it introduced a whole slew of new productivity inside the organization. We re-engineered stuff, and we began to think about processes. Now we have new technology, the same one we've been talking since yesterday. It's the mobile, it's the social, it's the big data, it's the cloud. And we can bring that inside the company. And there's a lot that has been said about this, but I think we're at a cusp of a change. And the reason is more and more of our clients, at least we see it, more and more of our clients are asking basic questions. How do I change my business model to take advantage of this? What can we do differently to compete? How do I empower our employees? And it's no longer just about the technology. It's about the management principles that go with it. It's about the culture. And that's really exciting. And we're going to create a whole slew of new management principles, new management practices, new ways of keeping score to take advantage of these technology. And we're going to change the way we do change management to take advantage of these technologies. So let's first talk about defining social enterprise. There are many, many, many ways to do this. I'm going to do a simple way. We will now empower the end users with the ability to make decisions in real time, take the unstructured data, collaborate in new ways, and make new decisions. We're going to work across the organizational boundaries. Remember, in the first era, we created functions and economies of scale. Then in the second era, we created these wonderful processes. Now we're going to create networks that can collaborate and do things together. And not only within the company, but with their partners, and engage in new ways with their customers. And now we're going to do it faster. Again, all the management principles work yearly planning cycle, forecasting quarterly, blah, 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 blah. Now we have the ability to make decisions in real time. We have the ability to reallocate resources in real time. And that's going to change the way management is going to be thinking about using these resources moving forward. So McKinsey, over the last more than 5 years, we've studied the adoption of these technologies. And there's lots of wonderful reports. I encourage all of you to go to the McKinsey Quarterly and read it then. And we survey people, blah, blah, blah. And it's great. You see that a lot of these technologies get adopted. But as I've said, over the last 2 years, more and more questions around how do I change my business model? So we went off and we studied this. And we did case studies. And we complemented the usual surveys we've been doing with some very, very deep macroeconomic and bottoms-up economic analysis to understand where is the value going to come from. I'm not going to do justice to the 187-page report, but it's online. So go for it, read it, download it. I'm going to show you 4 charts. First one, boring. People use it more and more and more, okay? We expected that. People, if you put technology out there, there's going to be a lot of folks that are going to use it. This is a survey of VPs and above in large established organizations. Second, is it adding productivity? The answer is hell yes. And if you do time and motion analysis of how these knowledge workers, the one that have all these unstructured tasks, how they spend their days, there's a lot of time that could be improved with all these wonderful technology we've been talking about, provided the right context, provided the right culture, provided the right incentives. Now, how they choose to reinvest that time, different companies will make different choices. But there is a productivity opportunity there that's really, really exciting. If you look at processes, the same ones we've been IT enabling, sales, process, supply chain, there is also an opportunity to collaborate in a new way, to use information. Let's remember, most of these processes are made for were automated for repeatable, predictable tasks. And around it, we've surrounded them with people to do all the exception handling. You have a mortgage, and then whoops, it kicks out of the process. And then all sorts of people get involved and do things. Now we have technology to facilitate how that work gets done. Finally, this was very fun and exciting to do. We stepped back and did a real macro analysis of what could be the impact for entire industry if these technologies were applied fully. And the numbers, it doesn't take long to get to hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. And then it's in the report. The first person who comes and tells me the number after will get a nice bottle of wine. So all of this is wonderful. It is new technology, and there's a lot of questions around what's the right way to deploy it, what's the right way to think about it. And there's a bit of a cautionary tale, though. And I want to finish with that because we need to think differently about how to use this technology. Technology is just one component. We need to step back. The good old days were we're going to re-engineer a process. We're going to put some really smart people top down. They're going to look at a process. They're going to follow it, and they're going to make it more efficient. They're going to work top down. They're going to hire a nice system integrator, and we're going to get a better answer. This is not what this technology enables. It's a series of network. It's leveraging data in new and unusual ways. It will change over time. So what we need to do is find a way to empower the end user. We're dealing with the end user is the power user. In the same way Excel spreadsheet transform how business analysts spend their time, we now have technology that allow end users to automate workflows, to get data, to aggregate data, to do new sorts of analysis. And that's really exciting, but we need to give them the context. We need to give them the right culture, the right mindsets for them to use this technology and transform the way this unstructured work gets done. Finally, we need to create an environment where test and learning is accepted and is the norm. It's no longer a big IT project where you kind of go and get the requirements, and then you go away, and 18 months later, you have this big iron answer. This is not the way we will be designing the corporation of the future. It will be a series of really exciting agile workflow. We're going to take the agile methodology that exists in IT, we're going to bring it to all the projects that get done, and there's going to be a real opportunity to transform. Now, 3 last things that I want to touch on. The first one is all these social technologies, contrary to the previous 2 eras that replace labor with capital, that replace labor with IT. This is complementing. It is complementing the knowledge worker. And that changes the value equation. Because everything we know and everything we've learned is how to calculate a wonderful ROI because we eliminate X people in this task, and we found a way to reduce the number of tasks. This is not how this is going to add value. We're going to make better decisions. We're going to let people work in groups in ways that they couldn't before. And we're going to do it faster. There's going to be a new premium put on time to value, return on human capital, return on knowledge. So we're going to need a new vocabulary to be able to get comfortable inside corporation that we're making the right decision around deploying these technology, which will in many ways be horizontal and will enable new decision makers. When we went to the IT enablement revolution, we had the CIO who was the gatekeeper. He got the ability to make, or she got the ability to make some fantastic decision around where we would put automation. Now it's different. You have a new partnership that needs to emerge. The CMO, many analysts are predicting, will be the biggest spender of IT in the next 3 years. Let's think about that equation. Who's the new decision maker and how do we empower them? What kind of CMO do we need that can make these kind of decisions? So there's a new type of role, new types of skill set that will be required moving forward. And again, as I've said, there's the power user, the one that will be configuring and programming all these wonderful things at the end of the nodes. The last thing that we need to think very carefully is how to do change management. Change management in the past had to be done through training, through some very thoughtful, and the tools and techniques that were developed were very well adapted to what we were doing at the time. In this case, we're distributing the power, we're giving technology to new users. So we need to be able to create the right context for this to get done. We need to drive adoption. Throwing technology is not going to be sufficient. We need to find a way to empower the end user, train them, and empower them to get excited around the kind of analysis, the ability to make decisions in real time. So I'm done with my 10 minutes. As I'm hopeful you saw, I'm excited about what the potential of social in the enterprise. It does require new management practices, and I think a lot of the story is to be built moving forward. Thank you.